time to cut off all communication with the outside world. Dust off your old VCR and gather your collection of mixtapes.
Then tease those bangs, put on your favorite pair of leg warmers. The nostalgia bug has bitten, and we're here to scratch the itch.
I'm Odell.
I'm Erin.
It's time to go back where we belong. Howdy Peeps. Welcome to episode 3 of Back Where We Belong. It feels so weird to say we're in episode 3 or 4 because when we were doing 6 degrees of what the fuck, we were like almost up to 100.
I know. It is really weird. And it's really weird not saying stabby cool kids and things like that.
Yeah.
It's very different, but I like.
It is very.
I like, but I did actually get a question last night from our lovely listener, Kathy, that she just realized we were ending the last one. And she was like, wait, are you going to go back? And I was like, no, but you find us over at Back Where We Belong. And she goes, but I have so much to catch up on with why is everyone staring at us? And I was like, just keep going.
Right,
keep going.
Right. We put the movie episodes, like we did the Why Is Everyone Staring at Us movie episodes. I put them on as our pre-launch.
Yes.
And then we will have a Patreon for just like the Aaron and Odell specials, where all of the podcasts that we've done, we have different tiers. So you can join Patreon to get like part of the Back Where We Belong. You just get ad-free episodes, but then you also get all of our Why Is Everyone Staring at Us episodes over there. Because I had to remove them from the main feed because we needed more space. So
yes, no, that
we had to get
sense.
rid of the ones that we're not doing anymore on that.
That makes sense.
But welcome. We're not talking about true crime or our other podcasts. We're talking about our new podcasts.
Yes, we are.
And today, our movie is Splash, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Yes.
This movie was released on March 9th, 1984. And I just realized the last movie I did, Little Darlings, on episode 1, was in March as well. So I got a March thing. I hope.
But that one was 1980?
1980. So we went forward 4 years.
Okay. All right.
I was 12 years old at this time.
I was 5 turning 6.
Okay. Yeah. I had just turned 12.
When this came out. Yeah. I was
in February. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was 5. I was going to be 6 that September.
Yeah. I was at the tail end of 6th grade. This was the year that I had all kinds of crazy kidney issues and I was homeschooled for several months because I was so sick. And at the time, I just remember I didn't realize how serious it was. You know, it's crazy. Like when you're a kid, you get really sick and you're going to the doctor all the time. You're having all these tests run on you. I'm just like, whatever. Mom and dad, the doctors, I'll figure it out. I'm going to be fine. Yeah. And then I had to go to Salt Lake City to the university specialist because they couldn't figure out what was going on at my regular GP. But then by the time we made it there, it had cleared itself up. So
that is so nuts.
Yeah. it's just weird.
Were you in pain?
Not really pain. I had a lot of strep throat when I was 5 or in the 5th grade, 4th, 5th grade. And they think that just took a toll on my kidney. So every time I got an infection, it would cause some things to go wrong. And it still happens. Like when I had my gallbladder out back this past October, I had an infection and it made my kidneys do that same thing again. But then a few weeks later, it cleared itself up. Yeah.
Wow.
Weird.
Yeah.
But
this was, I believe, the year that my 5th birthday, I remember we had my birthday party at McDonald's.
Did you get a Happy Meal?
You know I got a Happy Meal. But that's when they had the freaky psycho merry-go-rounds, the ones that tried to kill you.
Yeah.
And I remember it was a giant hamburger in the middle of it. It was like the Hamburglar or something.
The Hamburglar, yes.
And we all had hats. Like I have pictures from this birthday. And I remember it was after that this is so weird, Odell. It was after that birthday that I sat on my parents' bed with my neighbor friend Coco. And my mom took a picture of us. And I remember feeling like that I couldn't believe I was in bed with a boy. I remember this so distinctly after my 5th birthday party, the year or the age that I was when Splash came out. It's just nuts what we remember.
That's awesome. It is. It was especially you. You have the freak. You like remember the most rando things, but then you can't remember what you did like 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. I have no idea about
your long-term memory is amazing.
But yeah, man, I'm going to be like a favorite in the Alzheimer's unit because I'll be like, I'm already used to this. It's fine.
Exactly.
We had
do you
breakfast.
Want to know what I did when I was 2 years old and on May 2nd? I can tell you exactly what happened.
I can tell you.
So let's jump back to 1984 and take a look at what was going on in the world around this time. So according to onthisday.com, on March 4th, tennis legend Martina Navratilova beat Chris Evert.
Oh, yeah.
Before she was Chris Evert Lloyd, I guess. This was her 5th overall women's tennis championship title that she won. On March 9th, John Lennon's single Borrowed Time was released posthumously.
What year did he die? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
It was early 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely like 82, 81, 83. I don't know. Go on.
Before March 9th,
it was
1984.
Before March 9th, 84. We know that. When it was after January 1st, 1980. I know that.
Right. The good thing about me getting these March movies is the People's Choice Awards had happened. So on March 15th that year, it was the 10th People's Choice Awards. Return of the Jedi won Best Movie. Hotel won Best New TV Drama. I vaguely remember that show.
I vaguely remember that.
Emmanuel Lewis won Best Young TV Performer for Webster. I loved that show.
Oh, I love Webster.
Tom Selleck won Best Male TV Performer for Magnum P.I.
Of course, he and his stash.
Mm-hmm. Then Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds won Favorite Movie Actor. I don't know why both of them won. And I did a little digging on what were they in that year. Clint Eastwood had done Sudden Impact. It was a Dirty Harry film.
Yeah.
And then Burt Reynolds did Stroker Ace, which was one of those racing movies. Like he did all like the Cannonball
and the
Run.
Bandit. Yeah.
Smokey and the Bandit. Yeah. I think those were before. Those were like late 70s.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I vaguely remember Stroker Ace because my dad loved Burt Reynolds and those movies. So we always went to see those in the theater.
I remember when Burt Reynolds was like huge and he was married to Lonnie Anderson, who was in WKRP in Cincinnati. You remember that show?
I do.
One of my favorites ever. But yeah, I remember Burt Reynolds being like a huge deal when I was a kid.
And he and Sally Field, I remember, were in a lot of movies together. And I think they dated, didn't they, before he married Lonnie Anderson?
He said that she was the love of his life.
Yeah.
And then she later said when he was dead that he was a terrible kisser.
I remember I watched an episode of What Happens Live. And I think Lonnie Cohen asked her about that. Yeah.
Yes.
And she said that she didn't want to speak ill of the dead or something, but it was not.
But he was a terrible kisser.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see him being a very selfish kisser.
Mm-hmm. Meryl Streep won Favorite Movie Actress. She released Silkwood, or she was in Silkwood that year.
Yes.
Brooke Shields won Favorite Young Movie Performer. This was her 4th consecutive win. Everyone was obsessed with her back then.
Have you watched that documentary?
I haven't, and I'm afraid to because I'm afraid of being really sad.
I know. I am too.
What she went through.
Really too. Yeah.
But it looked like that year she was in the movie Sahara that I didn't see. Michael Jackson won All Around Male Entertainer, and Barbara Streisand won All Around Female Entertainer that year.
Girl, you go.
By abs.
Love that.
So, I love my Happy Meal toys because I always like to look back at what I didn't get because we rarely got Happy Meals.
Speaking of sad, come on.
Let me cheer you up with something else that I didn't get. Need a sound effect for that. The Happy Meal toy around this time were the Astro Snicks. I don't know what these were. I tried to find out if they were like a cartoon or something. It was the toy originated in Germany. They're these little green goblin-y looking characters, not like Green Goblin from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But they look like little goblins. A cross between, they're basically like blue Smurfs, really, in just different outfits. Or green Smurfs.
But they're green. Okay. Green Smurfs in different. That's weird. Yeah. I wonder if I got that at my McDonald's birthday party.
Maybe. Well, your birthday party was in September. They probably had something else because they typically ran things for like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you're watching the YouTube video, I will have posted a picture of them with that.
That's so weird.
That segment. I also found something on Reddit that just randomly popped up in my email. It was someone had a picture of a Pizza Hut menu from that year, which is so crazy. And I was looking at the prices because Pizza Hut used to be the shit.
Oh my! Going inside the Pizza Hut, you didn't order that out. You ordered it at the counter and you sat down with your giant thing of Parmesan cheese and you'd get it. Oh my God, girl. Those pizzas were the best.
Yeah. Because our treat was, we had this place called Grizzly Bear's Pizza.
Oh,
and it was a pizza, like homemade, obviously, pizza shop. But anytime we went in to go see a movie, it was like a big thing. And we would always go to Grizzly Bear. And that was typically what we did for our birthdays. We'd go to Grizzly Bear Pizza and then go to a movie. And the relatives would come and we'd all have a little feast there. And we would sit, they had a stuffed black bear, which is kind of morbid, but it was on the wall. So we'd always get the booth underneath the black bear so we could sit there. But then Pizza Hut came around a little while later. And so we, of course, went and got the pan pizza at Pizza Hut. But I was looking at the prices. It's so crazy. So back in the day, you could get a large Super Supreme for $12.20. Compared to today, I looked at the current Pizza Hut menu, at least here in Portland, that would cost you $23.29. So it's almost double.
Oh my gosh.
A large
I remember
Supreme.
you could get you could get free pizzas depending on how many books you've read.
Yeah.
Like they had that whole book.
The little personal pan pizza.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They were amazing.
A large Supreme was $10.70. Today it's $22.29. Oh I know. A large deluxe cheese was $8, and then you could add other toppings for 90 cents a piece. Today, if you want just a basic cheese pizza, large, it's $15.69.
Oh my
God. How crazy is that?
That is
but like
so
I was
nuts.
looking at the salad bar was $2.75 per person as a meal. With the meal was $1.89.
That's right.
For a kid's menu.
Salad bar. And the salad bar was good.
I know.
I hated salad and I would even go.
This for a kid's menu, if half a sandwich was $1.25. Spaghetti and meatballs was also $1.25, or spaghetti with meat sauce, $1.25. So basically all the kids' meals, 12 and under, $1.25. And I remember going in there, my mom was like, I'd be like 16. She's like, you're 6. Either that or if we got too old, we would go sit at the table. And she'd be like, yeah, I've got a couple of other kids. And so it's slink down in the thing so they could only see the back of our head. And we'd get the kids' menu. Yeah.
I'd run in and be like, I read 10 books. Get my little personal pan.
Yeah, they were back. They didn't require like a book report or anything.
No.
They just took it like, okay.
Totally like honor system. It was awesome.
So last time I covered what was happening on Saturday morning cartoons. Today, we're going to look at what was on the TV. So Primetime was also a fun time back in the day. So looking at the spring 1984 TV schedule, let's see if you remember any of these. So on a Sunday night on ABC, we'd have Ripley's Believe It or Not. I do remember that. I rarely watched it. Then we had Hardcastle and McCormick. I know the title, never watched it.
I remember my mom watching that. And
then we had the ABC Sunday night movie. Always
Nothing like those Sunday night movies.
On CBS, we had 60 Minutes. We still do at that time. Then we had Alice.
I loved Alice.
Kiss My Grits. Then One Day at a Time. Then The Jeffersons.
Oh, I loved The Jeffersons.
Then Goodnight Beantown. I don't know what that was.
I have no idea what that is.
And then Trapper John MD. I know my mom watched that.
I don't know that one.
And then over on NBC, we had First Camera. Don't know what that is. Then Knight Rider. I used to watch.
I loved Knight Rider.
And then the NBC Sunday Night at the Movie.
Yes.
On Mondays on ABC, we had That's Incredible. I do remember watching that.
Okay.
And then Monday Night Football. And then after football season was done, then they had the Monday Night Movie of the Week.
Yes.
On CBS, we had Scarecrow and Mrs. King. I do remember that one.
I remember remember hearing about that one. I could not tell you one thing about it.
Right. Then we had MASH and Newhart, which my dad watched. And then at 10 o'clock, Woman to Woman. I don't know what Woman to Woman is. No.
I loved Newhart. I never watched an episode of MASH.
No, my dad loved it. And I would watch some of them, but. And then on NBC, we had Boone. No idea what that was. And then the NBC Monday night at the movies. Like network movies were the shit back then because we didn't have cable. That's when you got your movies. Sometimes they'd play heavily edited theatrical versions of movies. Other times they were made for TV movies.
Yes.
Much of like what you would see on Lifetime these days.
Yes, exactly what you would see on Lifetime.
Yeah.
There were movies that my favorite one was the Farrah Fawcett one, where she killed a couple of her kids and then one survived.
We covered that case on 6 Degrees.
That one. And then I loved, the classic Tori Spelling, Mommy, May I Sleep with Danger? My God, those Sunday and Monday night movies, I lived for those.
Mm-hmm. On Tuesdays on ABC, we had Just Our Luck. No idea what that is. And then the big ones, Happy Days at 8:30, Three's Company at 9 o'clock.
Oh.
And then at 9:30, we had Oh, Madeline. And I think that was with Madeline Kahn, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
And then after that, we had Heart to Heart.
Okay.
Did watch that. And then at 8 o'clock on CBS, The Mississippi. No idea what that is. And then the CBS Tuesday night movies, which I always felt like the CBS movies were a little step below.
You know
ABC
what?
NBC.
I always stuck with ABC. Always. Yep. CBS was trashy.
Yep. And then on NBC, we had the A-Team, then Remington Steele and Bay City Blues. Don't know what Bay City Blues is, but I do remember Remington Steele and the A-Team.
Oh, yes.
On Wednesday, we had The Fall Guy. I do remember that.
Oh, yes.
And then
Dynasty, I loved The Fall Guy.
Because he was a, what are they called? A stuntman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Lee Majors.
Lee Majors.
Yeah, he was a Bionic Man, or not the Bionic Man, the $6 million man.
$6 million man.
Fall Guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had The Fall Guy, then Dynasty, and then Hotel.
Okay. Yeah.
And then on CBS, The Whiz Kids, no idea what that is. And then the CBS Wednesday night movie.
CBS, stop.
I
love that they're putting them all on the different days that
Tuesday
you can't see it on ABC and NBC.
Right. So they didn't have to compete. On NBC, we had Real People. And then here we go, The Facts of Life, Family Ties, and Saint Elsewhere.
Oh, come on. What day was this?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. That was the day. Okay.
Yep. And then on Thursday on ABC, we had Trauma Center. Don't remember that. And then that year they played 9 to 5, which was a spinoff of the movie. And then It's Not Easy. Don't remember that. And then 2020, which we still have today, but isn't 2020 on Fridays now?
Right. Yeah.
Over on CBS, we had Magnum PI at 8 o'clock.
Oh, yes.
Then at 9 o'clock, we had Simon and Simon. And then Knots Landing. My mom was definitely watching Knots Landing.
We did. I don't think my mom was a Knots Landing person. What station was that?
CBS.
She really stayed away from CBS. I'm telling you. She never got into the Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives and the CBS soaps. She was all about ABC.
Days of Our Lives was NBC.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Young and the Restless, though, was CBS.
CBS, yep. And Bold and the Beautiful. And
what was the
Guiding Light?
Guiding Light. That was at 2 o'clock. What was the big show at 1 o'clock?
Oh, I forget.
Because it was One Life to Live on ABC.
Yeah. See, we were Ryan's Hope, All My Children, One Life to Live.
That's General Hospital.
General Hospital, Edge of Night.
Oh, I never did Edge of Night.
Yeah.
Oh, my heavens.
But if I was over at my grandma's, then it was General Hospital. And then, no, it was Another World. And then Days of Our Lives.
Interesting. See, we had it at our grandma's house leading up to it, 10 o'clock, divorce court, 10:30, the people's court. And then we'd get into our soaps.
Nice.
Or no, it was 10 o'clock, Price is Right. 11 o'clock, divorce court, 11:30, people's court, then All My Children. It's awesome.
We did have Price is Right and Family Feud.
Oh, God, I love Price is Right. Go on.
And then on NBC on Thursdays, we had another big one of mine, Give Me a Break.
Yes.
Then Mama's Family.
Oh,
I loved Mama's Family.
I loved Mama's Family.
It still plays on, I have Sling TV. It plays on there. And then you can also get a lot of these on, if you have Pluto, TV. It's an app. It's free, but they have a specific channels dedicated to like, there's a Three's Company channel, a Love Boat channel, Carol Burnett channel. And I will turn those on and just sit there all day and watch them.
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock, we got it made. I don't know what that was. Then we had Cheers and then Hill Street Blues.
Oh my God. My dad was a huge Hill Street Blues.
On Fridays on ABC, we had Benson. Remember Benson? He was the butler.
I loved Benson.
And then Webster.
Yes.
And then Lottery, ! No idea what that is. And then Matt Houston. I don't remember that show either.
Not at all.
On CBS, we did watch this. Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes.
Then Dallas. Then Falcon Crest. And my mom and dad were big on Dallas and Falcon Crest. Falcon Crest and Knots Landing, I feel like one of them was a spinoff of the other, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know Dallas was big in our house. Again, it was CBS, right? Falcon Crest. Yeah, so my mom wasn't going to watch it.
NBC, I don't know any of these. Mr. Smith, then Jennifer Slept Here, then Manimal, then For Love and Honor. Don't know what any of those shows are.
I don't know those either.
Finally, on Saturdays on ABC, we had TJ Hooker. Then we had The Love Boat and then Fantasy Island.
So Saturday nights were like the big ones.
Yeah, because my dad always wanted to watch TJ Hooker and we had to argue with him, the kids, because we eventually got a smaller TV that was in one of the bedrooms. We would go because at the same time, Different Strokes and Silver Spoons were on. And we had to watch those.
I love Different Strokes and Silver Spoons.
And then we had The Rousters and The White Rose on NBC. Don't have idea what either of those are. And on CBS, we had Cutter to Houston. I have no idea what that is. And the CBS Saturday Night Movie.
Oh my CBS, you sweet babies. No, maybe that's like my mom had an automatic like dislike for CBS. Maybe because like they're just you're trying, you look desperate. You look thirsty, CBS.
Right.
Putting out your.
It's funny, like some of those shows now are are well known. Like Alice was good. One Day at a Time was good.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are very popular. Just we never watched them. They were just like the lowest on the tier. And what we watched. Yeah. So this was the year that John Updike published The Witches of Eastwick. Did you ever read that?
Oh, I never read it.
I saw the movie. I love the movie.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was a book. Okay.
And then V.C. Andrews published The Seeds of Yesterday, which was the fourth book in the Dollenganger series, also known as the Flowers in the Attic series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really thought about, we went to the bookstore not too long ago, and I really thought about getting it because I've lost my copy of Flowers in the Attic. I don't know if I got all the way to Seeds of Yesterday.
I read all of them, and I was always so disturbed that the brother and sister were fucking. I couldn't get past that.
I could not get past that either. And I read it at such a young age.
Yeah, I did
way
too.
younger than we were supposed to. And I remember not understanding, like, wait, but like you can't with your brother. Right. Like, that's not an option. I was so confused how they were able to do. I was just confused. I mean, hello, at that time when that one came out, I was sitting on a bed with a boy and sure I was going to get pregnant at 5 years old.
Sitting on the bed.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember reading like the first two books and then I stopped because I was just creeped out by the brother-sister incest thing. And then a few years later,
the first two or three.
I read Dawn.
Yes.
And then I finished that entire series. And then what was the next one? Angel or something like that?
I think so. Angel? I love all the titles, how they go together. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Then I eventually went back and finished up Flowers in the Attic. But honestly, that was probably my least favorite. I loved the Dawn series. I remember really liking it.
I loved the Flowers in the Attic series. I think just for nostalgic reasons. It's so fucked up. I loved the brother and sister fucking.
She had something against grandmas because in every one of them, the grandma was the horrible.
Something
abusive,
happened.
Yeah, something happened to her when she was little.
Let me hold you. I don't know what happened to her. Yeah.
All right, let's jump into our top 10 songs and we'll take a break. So this week, top 10 songs were, I'm going to start at number 10. We had Karma Chameleon by Culture Club. Number 9, Footloose by Kenny Loggins.
Come on.
Number 8, Here Comes the Rain Again by the Eurythmics, or just Eurythmics. I always put a "the" in front of it, but they always just
it is just
right?
Eurythmics.
Eurythmics, but I don't know why I always feel compelled to throw compelled.
You feel compelled to do it. I see.
Number 7, I Want a New Drug by Huey Lewis and the News.
Okay.
Number 6, Nobody Told Me by John Lennon. Number 5, Somebody's Watching Me by Rockwell. Number 4, we got a little Thriller by Michael Jackson.
So good.
Number 3, 99 Luft Balloons. Balloons or Ballons? I think it's balloons, but it's spelled Ballons, Ballons, because it's German. I think that's how you spell it.
Okay. Yeah.
By Nena. Number 2, the classic Girls Just Want to Have Fun by my girl Cyndi Lauper. Love her so much. And then number 1, Jump by Van Halen. Might as well
nice.
do it. All right. So my pick, as you know, listeners, or maybe if you don't, this is the first episode you're listening to, Aaron and I are building playlists. They're available on our website at backwherewebelong.com. There are links to find them on both Apple Music and Spotify. Each week we add 3 songs. So my first song that I'm adding from this week's top 40 is Here Comes the Rain Again by Eurythmics. My
Very
favorite
nice
song of theirs.
You know, that's funny because my oldest, she is not a fan of Annie Lennox. And I was like, oh no, like we're going to have an issue.
Right.
But she likes Eurythmics. And I was like, okay, sure. I'll throw you that one. Sure. You like Eurythmics. Okay. But her least favorite song is Here Comes the Rain Again.
I was
like, I don't know you.
To it.
I know.
Right? There's a mood to it. Like it just puts you in a certain headspace when that song plays. Yes. All right. What did you choose?
I went with, because as soon as I saw this on the list, I was like, oh, one of my favorites, Radio Gaga. I was off key. Radio Gaga, Queen.
What by Queen? What number was it that week?
It was in the top. It was 12.
It was in the top 40. I was just wondering if you had written down them.
No, I didn't write it down, but it was, I think in the second, it was like 11 through 20, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Radio Gaga. I love that song so much. It makes me so happy.
I vaguely remember it.
I just remember it at the World AIDS, the concert they did, Live Aid or whatever it was, and getting the whole crowd to like do the same motions and stuff. And it was so cool.
Nice. Yeah. Back in the day, I wasn't a huge Queen fan. Like I liked their songs, but I didn't love them.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to them, but like I like them more now as an adult.
I totally agree. Like Wayne's World reintroduced them, you know, and so of course I loved Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right.
But it was really when the movie came out, Bohemian Rhapsody, and felt like it was just a Queen concert. And there were so many songs I was like, oh, because, you know, they covered so many genres. It was weird.
Right.
And so when I saw the movie, I was like, I did not realize that was Queen. Oh, I did not realize that it was all over the place. So Radio Gaga was one of those songs. And I remember my uncle playing it all the time when I was growing up. Yeah. Like constantly. And so it was one of those, but I never thought about it. I never knew that Queen did it. And then when I saw it in the movie, I was like, oh, that's the song like that would play whenever we were in Kerrville. That song was on like all through the 80s.
Awesome. And so then each week, the host of that week, whoever picked the movie or had the wheel of nostalgia pick the movie for them, gets to choose a third song, with the caveat is if there's a soundtrack for the movie with pop songs on it, then we have to choose one of those songs. But this one didn't. And I wasn't going to pick the final song because that's boring.
That final song is horrible.
So I chose a song that was at number 27 of the top 40 this week, Miss Me Blind by Culture Club.
Nice.
I know Karma Chameleon was number 10. That's kind of expected, but I liked Miss Me Blind better.
Interesting.
Miss Me Blind and I Tumble For You. I think I Tumble For You is my favorite Culture Club song.
Yes.
It just gets you going.
I love that one.
Then I also like Clock of the Heart. It's another Culture Club one I like.
I don't think I knew that one.
Time, Clock of the Heart. You would know it if you
heard it.
If you heard it.
Okay.
All right.
I saw them in concert. They're amazing.
Didn't you scream at Boy George that you loved him?
I screamed so many times that I loved him, and then he said he loved me too. So don't want to.
Would you just fucking shut up already? I love you too.
Maybe, but Stop I pretend that he was just like, oh, finally, Aaron is here, and then I started singing "Toy Soldiers" just as an anthem to him. Martika. Oh, sorry.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk about the movie. When he was just 8 years old, Alan Bauer jumped off a boat while on a tour around Cape Cod. While underwater, he believes he saw a young mermaid, but before he could connect with her, he was pulled to safety. 20 years later, Alan runs a wholesale fruit and vegetable business in New York and is in an unhappy relationship, mostly because all these years later, he can't get the mystery girl from the ocean out of his head. When Alan finds himself knocked unconscious in Cape Cod once again, he awakens to see a beautiful blonde woman. She escapes before he can speak to her, but a few days later, she tracks him down thanks to an old ship chart and the driver's license he had lost in the ocean. Is this the woman he's dreamed about his entire life? Will he finally find love with her, or will the sinister Dr. Kornbluth expose the woman as the mermaid she is and take her away from Alan forever? Alrighty, so Splash was released on March 9th, 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Other movies that also released that week included Children of the Corn.
Oh, okay.
The Hotel New Hampshire with Rob Lowe, Beau Bridges, and Jodie Foster. Never saw it.
Never
but
heard
evidently, Jodie Foster was in the running for Madison, the mermaid, but then turned it down because she wanted to do the Hotel New Hampshire instead.
Okay.
We also had Mike's Murder, which was a movie with Deborah Winger. Never heard of that one. And I'm sure you saw this one, Voyage of the Rock Aliens with Pia Sedora. No idea what that is either.
No. I somehow missed that one.
Going into this weekend, so the top 10 movies at the box office the weekend before Splash was released were number 1, we had Footloose.
Ugh.
Obviously. Number 2, Against All Odds, which I heard about that movie, and there's that song.
Take a look at me now.
I never saw the movie though.
Mm-mm.
At number 3, we had Blame It on Rio. No idea what that is.
No.
Number 4, Lassiter. No idea what that movie is. At number 5, your favorite, Terms of Endearment.
I will hate you for the rest of my life for introducing me to that one.
Number 6 was Unfaithfully Yours. Don't remember that movie.
Okay.
Number 7, Harry and Son. And I think that was a Paul Newman movie, if I'm not mistaken, because I can vaguely see the poster of it. Maybe that's not even the poster I'm thinking of. Number 8, Weekend Pass. No idea what that is.
Okay.
Number 9, Angel. Did you see Angel?
Who was in that one?
It's the girl who is in Jaws 2 and she freaks the fuck out on the boat. She's like, shark.
Oh my God.
She was the friend of someone and she was they brought her to meet the oldest Roy Scheider's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
forget what her name is, but she plays this Catholic schoolgirl who is also a sex worker at night because her mom died.
Girl.
But then there's a serial killer targeting sex workers.
Oh, why haven't I seen this?
I don't know, but it's on our list and it's really good.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen it since I was like 10.
Okay. So is it really good?
Exactly. It was really good back then because, it was scary. And it was also one of those forbidden movies that I snuck and watched while my parents were home. So.
Oh my God.
And then at number 10, we had Never Cry Wolf. No idea what that is.
Okay.
Splash starred Daryl Hannah, Tom Hanks, John Candy, and Eugene Levy, amongst others. It was directed by Ron Howard, Richie on Happy Days. Mm-hmm. This was his third movie after Grand Theft Auto in 1977, not to be confused with the video game. And he then did Night Shift in 1982. Did you ever see that?
I never saw that.
It has Michael Keaton, Henry Winkler, and Shelley Long.
Oh, I
And
love
Michael
that.
Keaton, they work, I don't know if it's still a morgue, but it was a morgue that they turned into like a brothel where they were pimps. And Shelley Long was one of the sex workers. It was a comedy. I remember seeing it. I don't remember whether I liked it or not because it was a long time ago when I last saw it. But this movie was written by Lowell Gans, Babalu Mandel, Bruce J. Friedman, has a runtime of 109 minutes or 1 hour and 49 minutes for you, Aaron. It's rated PG. The film had an $8 million budget, but the movie grossed $6 million on its opening weekend, put it in the number one spot that week. And then by the time all was said and done, it ended up grossing $69,821,000 in the US alone.
Wow.
So it was a pretty big one. But before we talk about
the
the movie itself, I want to take a look at some of the stars. So we all know Tom Hanks as a pretty prolific actor these days. But back then, he wasn't as well known. So before Splash, he was in the horror movie He Knows You're Alone. He starred in the TV show Bosom Buddies.
Amazing.
Love that one. And he had appeared in episodes of The Love Boat, Taxi, Happy Days, and Family Ties.
So this was like his first big one.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. After this movie, he appeared in the movie Bachelor Party with Whitesnake video star Tawny Kitaen.
And his wife was it Rita.
Yes, she was.
His real life. I think that's where they met, was in Bachelor Party.
Yeah. And then we had The Man with One Red Shoe, The Money Pit, eventually Big. And I feel like Big is when he really like made it big and started.
That was huge.
And we saw him almost every year in another movie.
Yes.
Before Splash, Daryl Hannah had appeared in a few movies, not that well known. She was in one titled The Fury, another called Hard Country. She was in the TV movie Paper Dolls, which I vaguely remember. Wasn't it about models or something?
I think so.
But probably her most well-known
That sounds familiar.
Her most well-known role before Splash was Blade Runner.
Oh, yes.
She also appeared in a movie titled Summer Lovers, The Final Terror, and then she was in Reckless with Aidan Quinn. I do remember seeing Reckless.
I remember
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
John Candy, he was pretty well known back then because he had already appeared in such hits as 1941, The Blues Brothers, Stripes, National Lampoon's Vacation. So people knew who John Candy was.
Yes.
And while many of us know Eugene Levy as Johnny Rose from Schitt's Creek, he has been in a shit ton of movies. If you grew up in the 90s, you probably knew him better as Jim's dad in the American Pie series.
Yes.
If you're really cool, you'll know him from several Christopher Guest films like Guffman, Best in Show, A Mighty Wind. So he's one of those very prolific character actors from the 80s and 90s. He's one of those almost like Steve Buscemi these days.
Yeah.
You turn on a movie, you're going to see Eugene Levy in some capacity.
Yes. And then he and John Candy had done that SCTV together, the Canadian one, with Catherine O'Hara and Dan Aykroyd and all of these huge. Yeah. Oh my gosh. John Candy. God, I love him so much. I love him so much.
Now, what did you think of Tom Hanks as the lead?
I loved him. I remember when I saw this as a kid, I absolutely thought he was so cute and he was so funny. Like, I just thought he is totally, I was never the one who went for like the really hot, like stereotypical hot guy. Like in Pretty in Pink, I lusted after Ducky.
Yeah.
Never Andrew McCarthy. I was never on that board. I was never on the James Spader board, like any of those. In Breakfast Club, it was more Anthony Michael Hall than it was Judd Nelson or anyone else. That's who I was. So Tom Hanks as this part, oh my God, like so freaking cute and like hot to me. I just thought it was so romantic.
So before he was cast, this part had been turned down by Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, Dudley Moore, which John Travolta, because he was like the man of the time back then, and Michael Keaton. Jeff Bridges, Richard Gere, Kevin Kline, Burt Reynolds, Robin Williams, and Christopher Reeve were also all considered for the part. Can you see any of them in that
The
role?
only one I could possibly see is Michael Keaton, because he's just quirky enough to like, you know, he has that quality about him that is less like traditional. He's the quirky hot one. He's
Right.
the Tom Hanks hot one, you know.
I feel like maybe Kevin Kline would have been okay, but I feel like if Richard Gere had been put in that part, it would have been a completely different tone of the movie.
Completely. You needed someone who was not as well known.
Right.
And I feel
Not
like
as well
back
known.
then, Michael Keaton was doing things like this was around Mr. Mom and things like that, where it was those, yeah, he's the only one I might be, but honestly, I can't. Tom Hanks was perfect.
Yeah.
For this.
Steve Guttenberg also auditioned, didn't get the role, but he would instead be cast in Ron Howard's next film that he did after Splash, which was Cocoon.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
We had many actresses who either auditioned for or were considered for the role of Madison. So as I mentioned earlier, we had Jodie Foster who auditioned. Then she ended up turning it down because she got the part in Hotel New Hampshire. I can't either. Rosanna Arquette also auditioned, which I can kind of see her. She backed out. Brooke Shields was offered the part, but turned it down so she could study French literature at Princeton. Good on you, Brooke.
Man.
Others who were considered but turned down the role included Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I didn't even know she was around then. I can't tell you anything else. I didn't know her before Seinfeld.
Yeah, no, I knew her. Well, I knew that she had been around. I think the only thing, Christmas Vacation she was in before Seinfeld.
Right.
I think that's the only
80s.
Yeah, I think that's really the only thing that I saw her in, but I had read that she had been around. I mean, her dad was like a billionaire. And so she had been around doing film and theater stuff forever, you know.
Yeah. We also had Melanie Griffith, Jeannie Francis. Can you imagine Laura Spencer as Madison?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Diane Lane, Tatum O'Neal, Michelle Pfeiffer, Sharon Stone, and Kathleen Turner.
Okay, no, only Daryl Hannah.
It was reported that Deborah Winger really wanted the role, but she was turned down by Ron Howard because of, I mean, she was known as a nightmare back then. Yeah, she was just coked up and whatever.
Crazy.
Also,
and can you imagine her doing Splash in terms of endearment in the same year?
Right.
No, ma'am. No.
Due to her huge popularity as Blair on The Facts of Life, Lisa Whelchel was also considered for Madison. Again, I feel like it would have
been completely different.
Yeah, there would have been a quirky weirdness to it, whereas Daryl Hannah was just purely innocent. Like she played it perfectly.
Yes.
So the movie has a 91% Rotten Tomatoes critic score.
Does it really?
A 57% audience score. That really surprises me.
That should be flipped, if anything.
Right. Critics loved it. According to Common Sense Media, parents say it's appropriate for ages 12 plus, but kids say it's appropriate for ages 11 plus. What would you?
I mean, I think I saw it when I was like 6 or 7.
Right. The only thing, I mean, John Candy does he wrote an article.
He looks up their dresses.
Looks up their dresses.
Yes.
But
all of that went over my head completely when I was a kid.
You see the bare ass when she makes it to New York.
Yes.
But that's the only nudity that's there. I mean, you kind of get a boob shot a little bit when she's underwater. But nothing, it's not sexualized in any way.
No. And even when she was running out to the water, when you get like the butt shot, they did an amazing job with her hair. And I'm sorry, even now, I was like, I wonder if the mermaid half of her is going to look as cool as I remembered. Yes, it does.
Totally did.
Yep. They did such a good job.
Yeah, I have a little thing about the tail. It was manufactured by a place called Robert Short Productions. All of this is from IMDb. It was fully functional. She could swim with her mermaid tail so fast that the safety team couldn't keep up with her.
Oh my gosh.
And she said it on the documentary. It was because she had been swimming mermaid style by bounding her legs together since she was a kid, because she was obsessed with The Little Mermaid and she wanted to be a mermaid.
Oh.
So when she was little, she would swim like a fish. And so when she got her actual tail, that, like I said, her safety team couldn't keep up with her because she was so adept at swimming.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So where was I? The 2000 American Film Institute, so you might like this for your other podcast. They included Splash amongst 500 movies that were nominated for the top 100 funniest American movies. Now, whether it ended up making the list, this didn't say.
It did not.
And then in 2002, AFI included the movie amongst 400 movies that were nominated for the top 100 greatest love stories.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was nominated for an Academy.
It did not make that either.
It was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, along with El Norte, Broadway Danny Rose, Places in the Heart, and Beverly Hills Cop. And I think Places in the Heart ended up winning that year.
Probably.
The film was produced by Disney, but the script and film included some language and brief nudity, which wasn't appropriate for a Disney movie at the time. So they created the Touchstone Pictures label. This was meant for Disney movies that were targeted toward older audiences, and Splash was the first movie released by Touchstone.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So
I did not know that that had anything to do with Disney.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. So what did you think of the movie? Then versus now?
I loved it then. I loved it now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie. I thought it was great. I mean, there are moments, of course, like that final song, girl, I can't deal with that. But if you are a John Candy fan at all, you're going to love it just for Freddie, for his part in it. It's like quintessential Tom Hanks at his charm, at his like the quirks that he has that you would see in almost all of those comedies, like where he's yelling. I did giggle when he jumped in the water and screamed out Madison. All I could hear was Wilson. But it has like Daryl Hannah is just beautiful, a beautiful, beautiful woman. And her part is so sweet and innocent. There is so much ridiculousness in this. I mean, she's a mermaid, Odell.
Right. And
she brings that giant fountain into his.
Did that happen? What I also thought was funny, I put a note here. She's a really horny fish. But if you think about it, like she has legs now. She has like human anatomy. Of course, she's going to be horny.
I mean, you get that in there. How are you going to stop?
Right.
Seriously.
Which is no wonder she wanted it. And she only had 6 days on land. So, of course, she's going to get as much dick as she can.
Did we ever understand why she only had 6 days on land? Oh, because the moon.
The moon. It
had something to do with the full moon, right?
Something to do with the full moon. And then something. So I read somewhere, I forget what site it was on, but they had made it almost like a little more like the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And that she had met with a sea witch who told her, okay, if you can actually go up and mermaids can walk on land, but if you stay there more than 6 days, then it's permanent. You can never come back to the ocean.
Yeah. I guess I had a hard time understanding why she wouldn't just stay. But at the same time, like you think about, well, he would have to give up his life for the ocean, but she kind of seemed like a lone mermaid.
They didn't establish a family or
there's no one she was going back
fish
to.
Friends or anything like at least with Ariel, she had Flounder and Sebastian and her sisters, and
you would get it.
Yeah.
I will say this movie and our next movie is the one I chose last week, right?
Hand that rocks
the wheel chose. Okay. Here's something funny about both of these movies. And I did not realize it until I was watching Splash last night. I was like, oh my God, it's all coming back to me. My youngest name is, Peyton, which I loved that name because of Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Because that's Rebecca De Mornay's character is Peyton.
Oh, okay.
And I also happened to have someone in my family named Peyton. So I was like, oh, that's totally the name. Madison was the other name because of Splash.
Wow.
I never knew, because that was a really rare name. You didn't hear that
Well, like
when in the 80s, because even he's like, it's a name of a street.
Right. He's like, that's not a name, because he's listing off names. And then he looks at the street and he's like, okay, we're at Madison. He's like, oh, I want Madison. He's like, Madison's not a name.
Yeah. And I remember falling in love with that name because of this. And so for a while, her name was going to be Peyton Madison. But then I realized that her initials would then be PMS. And I was like, if she's a bitch, that's going to suck. If she's not a bitch, then it's just ironic. So I can't go with either one. But Madison was because of this movie. I distinctly remember hearing that name and being like, what?
Yeah, it was not at all common. Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't seen this since, I guess maybe I had watched it a few years ago, but it was one of those I was like, oh, Splash is on. I will turn it on and let it play while
in the
I'm doing something else
background.
around the house. But what I'm doing with these movies now is I'm watching them like it was the 80s. So I turn my phone off.
Yeah.
So I don't get interrupted. I don't have distractions, because my problem now when I sit down to watch a movie, I have my phone, I might have my laptop there or my iPad. So I'm not fully invested in the movie. So I want to enjoy them the same way now that I did back then, uninterrupted.
Right.
So I did that. And I hadn't really sat down and watched, like invested myself in this movie probably since I was, maybe 13, 14 years old when I watched it on video. So it's funny how when you're paying attention, little things like you're triggered and all of a sudden the next line, you immediately remember it because you've watched the movie so much.
Yes.
When you're fully paying attention, like I was just noticing the little differences, like how much more I'm invested when I don't have these other distractions. So I'm trying to do that more just with everything that I watch. But it was funny.
That's really smart.
That I had totally forgotten, like they were popping into my head. I totally forgot about Mrs. Stimler, who was also Dottie someone. She was in Grease and Grease 2. But
when she is in her bra on the outside and he's like, Miss Stimler? Yes. Never mind.
And then when at one point she comes to work in her bathrobe and her shower cap. I mean,
well, and then I love when John he's like because Tom Hanks tells him, oh, she got hit by lightning this weekend. And then he said something about her coming to work and he was like, what, to jumpstart a car? Just starts laughing hysterically. Oh my God. So good. Yes, I forgot about that part.
There was one scene that I feel like would not fly these days. But when she makes her way to Bloomingdale's and she's looking at all the clothes and the shopkeeper goes, oh, yes, that's jumpsuit. It's beautiful. I could never wear it because it won't fit. But my daughter, she's lucky. She's anorexic.
She's anorexic. Yes.
I was like, I don't think that's luck, honey. I don't think that would fly.
No.
If this movie were to be remade today.
No, I don't think so.
I had a question though. So when she gets in the bathtub, she's going to take a bath.
Yes.
I don't know, I guess to hydrate her fin, she pours salt in the bathtub.
Yes, she does.
And so I was like, okay, first of all, how did you know to get the table salt? Whatever.
Yes.
Okay, I'll forgive that. But then, so my mind rationalized it in that she needed salt because she needs salt water because that's what the ocean's like in order to get her fin. But then why did she need salt then? But then later on, when he just picked up that hose, there's not salt water running through the streets of New York.
No, that is very true.
She turns into the mermaid.
Well, and here's my other question is that bath was steamy.
Right.
Like, were we talking climate change back then? Because the ocean's not like, exactly. The ocean is not a hot steam bath. Right. It was steamy.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed.
No, that I remember even at the time being confused that it was like any water. And so the way I think that I rationalized it was, well, it's any water, but this feels the most like home. Yeah. Is the salt and with, nice boiling water. like you get in Cape Cod.
Oh, funny.
But I did love that shot of when she's sitting there and you see the scales pop up like on her. I seriously was blown away by that mermaid fin.
I have a little something about that scene. So the effect of the skin turning into scales was done by using a vacuum effect on an appliance that was placed over Daryl Hannah's leg. So she was required to place her hand over her left hand over the edge of the appliance, which I watched this and I could see her put her hand on there to hide it. And then the vacuum was activated and the upper layer of fake skin would pull down over the false scales. So they had fake skin that was just pulled off, kind of like they did with Beauty and the Beast, where he was the beast.
Really smart.
On the stage and they sucked his costume off and he's human all of a sudden.
Right.
They just sucked off the fake skin. And then it was supposed to pull down the scales on the fish fin. But if you notice, they said some of the scales didn't pull down. So it looks like she has patchy scales.
But you know what? That probably seemed a little more realistic. I loved that shot. I thought that was so cool. And I remember so well when I was a kid loving when she laid back in the bath and you just see the tail come out and then open. And it's just like, and it was so huge. Like it was just this beautiful, oh my gosh. Oh God, I love this movie.
I thought it was fun too. So I found out that the young girl who played young Madison when she's just a kid.
Oh, she was so cute.
She was crying. You know, when she cried when they pulled him off, she said she was really crying because Ron Howard told her she had to take her shirt off because mermaids don't wear shirts. And she wasn't even comfortable wearing a bikini. And so she was under the water without a shirt on, feeling very exposed. And so she was crying. She's like, that shot was me sobbing because they made me take my shirt off and I didn't want to, not because they pulled the guy away. I'm not that fabulous of an actress.
Oh my God. I did think she was a fantastic actress.
Yep.
Oh,
she said, I have the quote here.
Baby.
Her name was Shayla. And she said, Ron Howard yelled into his bullhorn, okay, Shayla, we're ready for your scene. We need you to take your top off now. I instantly started bawling, crying. I was completely terrified. Next thing I know, I was in the water and the camera was shooting me while I was crying the whole time. And all I wanted was my mom. Fast forward to the movie's release and everyone remembers me as the little Madison who was crying as Alan was taken away. Everyone complimented me on what a wonderful actress I was because my crying was so believable. Little did they know.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that sweet baby.
Anything else you remember or that struck you with the movie and during the rewatch that stood out to you?
No, honestly, it was just, oh God, that freaking song. I cannot deal with it. I cannot deal with it. I was surprised at how much, because when I look back in my childhood, I'm never like, oh, Splash was such an important movie to me. Never like that. However, I was really surprised at how much I remembered, how the lines were becoming very natural to me, you know, and all of just the little moments, like the scales being shown, like just all of those tiny little things that I don't find myself ever thinking about, but man, as I was watching it, it was all coming back. I love things like that.
I do too. That's nostalgia for you.
It is. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. And I'd forgotten that Kornbluth wasn't like he was the bad guy, but then he really
so quickly became the good guy.
Yeah. I had forgotten about that. And I forgot that they pretended to be the Swedish doctors who went in, and then they pretend that he got, like, she shot rays out of her eyes and knocked out John Candy. Like, how did that guard not realize that that body was not the same body type of John Candy?
Exactly. It was so ridiculous.
And I remember thinking movie. That as a kid, I'm like, how does he not realize that these two guys could not have possibly ran out of there with John Candy, and that is not an overweight man, obviously, that they have under those clothes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I had totally forgotten about all of that. I really had forgotten about Eugene Levy's role
Uh-huh.
I knew there was someone. I did not remember until it started. I was like, oh, that's right. It's him.
Mhm.
But then how quickly he's actually a good guy.
Right.
And there's that line he even says, like, oh, if I had any friends, they would tell you how nice I am.
Uh-huh.
I'm really nice. If I had any friends, they would tell you.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah, I had totally forgotten about that.
So in 2016, Brian Grazer, who produced Splash, said he was working on a remake of Splash, only with a twist. He said there's a movie star that's going to be involved. It would most likely be from the point of view of the mermaid and would be closer to an earlier draft of Splash where it's a male mermaid or merman, I guess. They're thinking of Channing Tatum. He's currently attached to it with Jillian Bell playing the female, and Channing Tatum would be the merman. Tatum's set to produce the remake through his production company, Free Association.
Wait, this is happening?
It's currently in development. Ron Howard and Brian Grazer are going to produce it. And
who would direct it?
I don't know. They don't have it.
Wait, and who was going to be the girl?
Jillian Bell. I looked her up. I don't know her from anything. She was in 22 Jump Street, which I never saw. She was in a couple of other movies, but I didn't recognize her.
Okay.
When I saw her, she's a blonde woman.
Oh, Jillian Bell. Oh, I love her. She was in what an interesting person to play.
Yeah.
She was in The Night Before.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, she was Seth Rogen's wife.
Okay. So yeah.
Swallow it like a girl. Yes. I love her, but what a weird pairing of her and Channing Tatum.
It's still, as of January 2021, the project was still in development according to IMDb. And then when I looked it up last night, it's still, they both have it attached to their profile as upcoming productions, but no movement on it yet.
Very interesting. All right.
All right. Well, let's take another break and then we'll come back for a little more.
Okay.
All right. So I have some oopsies or some bloopers that I pulled off of IMDb as well.
Yay.
So when Madison meets Alan on the beach after rescuing him, after he falls out of the boat, the little tiny ass boat, which gave me palpitations when I was watching it. Would you have been in that boat? Like if he said, yeah, I can take you out to the island in this boat.
I mean, not without a life jacket. If I can swim, I'm not going to be out there without a life jacket.
And then he says, let me go back and get the smaller boat.
Yeah, no, I love Tom Hanks' reaction on that one.
Right. Right. So he manages to get the boat started. He gets knocked out of the boat. Madison saves him.
Yes.
He sees her on the beach. And evidently, after rescuing him, her hair changes from wavy to straight several times before she re-enters the water.
Oh.
So it's like they forgot to crimp her hair before. I didn't either.
Oh, I love that crimp.
I know. When Alan and Dr. Kornbluth rescue Madison from the lab, her tank is full of kind of cloudy looking water. But then in the next scene, when the scientists enter the lab and they find Alan's brother fishing, the water was crystal clear.
That is very true. That is very true.
I remember that.
Yes.
When Madison enters Bloomingdale's, evidently you can see Ron Howard reflected in one of the mirrors.
Oh, I need to look for that.
I know.
Did you see it?
I didn't.
When you were
I pulled these off after I'd watched it, so I need to go back and check that.
I need to look for that.
They pointed out that Madison says she has only 6 days and must return when the moon is full, but 2 times they show the moon, and the phase of the moon is after a full moon, not before the full moon.
Oh,
so
it's like the wane or the wax or whatever. Okay.
Tom Hanks' character is listed as Alan Bauer, so ALLENBAUER in the end credits, as well as on his driver's license that Madison finds on the ocean floor. However, at the beginning of the film, and I didn't notice this either, the nameplate on the door of his office at where he works, his first name is spelled ALAN instead of ALLEN.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I noticed it when it had the double LEN, just because you don't see that as much for a first name, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So those are the oopsies. Anything else you want to say about the movie before we jump into our own version of events?
No, it's amazing. I did want to, part of me wanted to put in, I almost did today, when John Candy starts speaking Swedish, if it actually was Swedish.
Oh, yeah.
What hey, babe, I have a 12-inch penis. I just like when he's like, hey, it's a penis. Because he ends it with that one. Penis. So yeah, I watched that part a couple of times. It's really funny. But I didn't get to put it into Google Translate to see if that actually was Swedish.
Yeah. All right. So imagine, if you will, you're a mermaid.
Yes.
Which I already know is probably giving you anxiety because you're living in the ocean that you hate.
I don't like that, but go on.
Which ocean creatures would be your friends? Because I felt like Madison was pretty lonely.
Yeah. Where were her dolphins?
Right.
I feel like I would definitely be with dolphins for sure.
Yeah.
Dolphins, I would stay the F away from orcas. I feel like those are the real villains of the ocean.
Yeah, but see, I feel like those would be the ones I'm befriending.
I mean, you want to be on their good side. No, for sure. And I get that. But at the same time, I feel like they're kind of a gang.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. So I would just want to, not be too popular, but not too unpopular. I just want to be right in the middle with the dolphins.
Right.
With the dolphins. That's who I would definitely be friends with. No crustaceans or anything like that. This is not going to be a Little Mermaid situation by any means. I'm not having a Sebastian. I just want the friendly, sweet, and honestly, something with a little bit of a tie to a human world. If it could be a mammal, that'd be great. So I'm sticking with the dolphin. You
know what always confused me about Little Mermaid was she was friends with crustaceans, but then she has shells over her boobs, which had to come from a dead crustacean of some sort.
Odell, we are all hypocrites, even in Disney movies. We are just a bunch of hypocrites.
Is that they made the Little Mermaid, she was originally supposed to be blonde, but they made her redheaded to differentiate her from Madison and Splash.
Oh, that makes sense and was probably very smart.
Right.
I mean, now what do you think of? You think of her red hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that is one thing I thought about during the movie when she's taking the bath and she just takes the little comb and only brushes this one little strand of hair.
Well, she didn't want to ruin her crump.
That's what I was thinking as she was brushing it. I was like, girl, you're not supposed to do that. Crimping 101, you know that.
Right.
But it did make me the similarities and the ship that she went into underneath,
Yeah.
I was like,
I totally forgot about that.
I totally forgot about it too.
When I went to watch this, I was like, I don't think she spends that much time as a mermaid. We don't get to see her as a mermaid much. We just see kind of her fin.
Yeah.
I forgot that there was that whole,
there was a whole
her
ship.
Swimming and finding his license and then going through the ocean. And then at the end too, when they swim off, that was much longer than I remember.
I remembered that.
With a stupid song.
Stupid song. Oh my God.
So if you were a mermaid, what would make you want to become human?
Love. I mean, I could go into all of part of this world or that world, whichever world it is. I would think what would draw me to the shores and stuff would be the lights.
Yeah. I feel like curiosity would draw me out there. But then I think of who I am now. I'm perfectly fine in I don't like to push boundaries.
Right.
So I like to be safe. I like to feel safe.
Yes.
I'm not someone who feels the need to go skydiving or parasailing. I'm perfectly fine. You go and you tell me about it. So I feel like I would wait for someone else to go and
explore the shore and see.
Yeah, it's going to be safe for me.
To know someone there.
The effort, or should I just stay here where I'm safe and all's good?
Yeah. No, I think it would definitely be curiosity that would bring me there. And I think that honestly, it's the lights that would make me curious. It would not be like the people and stuff. If I saw people splashing and running, no, y'all can burn in hell. No. Or come to my steam bath that is boiling just a mile off the coast. But it would be that quiet, like night, the lights and stuff. It would just be real pretty. I feel like that is what would draw me closer for sure.
So let's imagine that Adam comes home today and tells you, Aaron, I have to tell you something. I am a mer person.
Okay.
And I've stayed as long as I can. I have to return to the sea.
Okay.
I have to live there for at least 5 years before I can come back on land. It's kind of like a visa. It's a sea visa.
Okay.
Where you get an extended stay, but you have to, rather than just go away for a month and then you can come back, you have to go away for 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
Or else he'll die. Would you go with him?
No. I'm not going in the ocean. Fuck you.
But like,
no.
You can go with him. You can breathe. Like, you're totally safe.
No, I'm not. It's the ocean.
For 5 years. You can't see your husband for 5 years.
Bye. Bye, bish. Sorry. It's not. No.
What if he says, I want to take Peyton and Emma with me?
Fuck you. They always get to stay with the mom. No.
But they're part mermaid now.
Yeah. And we're going to bury that.
They can swim in the ocean because since they're part mermaid, they can grow fins.
I'm sorry. No. You know who you married? No, it's not happening. You can go back. I'll see you later. Like maybe we can meet on a ship or something and I'll yell at you from above. But no. Odell, no, it's no. No. It is not going to happen.
What if Emma and Peyton really want to go because they can be mermaids now and they really want to explore that side of their culture?
You better be singing to me with those sweet, sweet voices because I'm going to go all kinds of King Triton. No. I can totally hear Em. I'm 15. I'm not a child anymore. No, girl, until you 18. No. I'm or 17. I think you're considered an adult in Texas. When you're 17, y'all go have fun. Until then, you're
considered an adult when you're 14, when you're a mermaid.
Okay, we're not in the water right now. So sorry, we're on the Texas and we're not going to Galveston anytime soon.
I don't think I would want to jump into the Galveston.
No. Like, where is Adam telling me that he's going to, I'd be like, he
has to come up to Portland. And he has to jump into the Pacific Ocean.
Okay,
go back
well,
to his
great.
kingdom.
You know what? You have fun. I'm going to live with Odell. And then we will come out and visit you.
On a fishing boat.
On a fishing boat.
That you will never get on. Would you let Emma and Peyton get on a fishing boat and go out to the ocean so Adam can swim up and say hi?
I mean.
Without you?
Describe a fishing boat, like the one they were in?
Like the one that Corn Bluth was in.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of the orca in Jaws. I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, we're going to come back at night. We're not staying out there. We'll do a lovely day trip.
All right.
And that's it.
Okay. Well, I'll let Adam know that he's on his own.
He will not be surprised
has to go back
at
to
all.
Atlantis.
I will yes. I'm going to tell him after. I'm not even going to be like, hey, babe. Because there have been times where I'm like, hey, I mentioned this on the podcast. You good with that?
What if he decides to listen to this one?
I'm going to go ahead and tell him, look, if you're about to tell me you're a mer person, you're on your own. I hope you realize this. And he'll be like, I know. And he won't even ask where this conversation is coming from.
As he expects it.
Yes.
All right. So coming back to the movie, one thing that I thought of while I was watching this is, could you fall for someone you couldn't communicate with?
No.
Because they don't speak when they meet on the beach. He immediately races down to the police station to find her. Then they walk, which I was confused about. He drove his car to the police station, but then they walked, unless he parked somewhere and then they walked. But they're just sitting there staring at each other.
Yeah.
And then they're fucking a lot.
No, that's all. You're just.
But there was no communication. And I'm like,
right.
How can he? I mean, granted, the next day she watches a lot of TV. She picks up on the English language because she's a brilliant mermaid. But I'm like, up until that point, I don't know that I could spend more than like 5 minutes with someone just sitting there smiling at them. I would be so uncomfortable.
No, like that. If it's just for the peen, sure. Let's do, but then can you leave when we're done?
Right.
Like, I don't want to hang out with you all day.
Yeah.
Can't even
just
say
looking
anything.
at each other. Right.
No, I could never.
Which just made me
have a hard enough time with people that I love and really know, like sitting there and hanging with them all day. No, definitely not in this situation.
Because I feel like it was very surface level at that point. So how could he say he was in love with her?
No.
But then again, we're in like a fantasy world, so I get that. But
yes.
So thinking to the scene where Dr. Kornbluth sees them out on the street when she's about to tell him her big secret that she's a mermaid. He sprays her, and then she's laying on the sidewalk with her fin flipping, yelling, Alan, 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 and he's standing there looking at her.
He's such a dick.
What would you have done in that situation?
If I was Alan?
Yeah.
I mean, I would try to help the poor person.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
that I just proposed to, and he was such an asshole.
He was. And then they take him and they put him in the tank too. Yes. And so he's sitting there, obviously didn't transform. Then they drop her in there. He won't even let her touch him. And I'm like, dude, you fucked a fish.
Girl, yeah.
Like, is that what's going on in your head? Like, you've already had it.
You know who should be shunned right now is you, sir. You fucked a fish.
And are you feeling guilt about it or disgust about it? Like, she was always this person. She just didn't have a fin then. She had legs. So
are you not mortified?
Right.
Yes. Oh,
and why are you mad at her
really, exactly. I was very annoyed at that part, especially when she was like, Alan, Alan. And he just like slowly stands up. Dude, we all see you. You fucked a fish. We all see you. And now you're just an asshole who fucked a fish.
Right.
That's what just happened.
Yeah.
No, I did not like that at all.
So going to the end, when they're standing on the dock and she knows, like, she was going to stay. She was going to give it all up. She was going to stay on land. But now that everyone knows she's a mermaid, she can't possibly stay. They would never
leave her alone. Right.
Right. So she's going back into the ocean and she tells Alan, look, you can stay with me because obviously you can breathe underwater. It happened when you were 8. So come with me. Would you have gone?
No.
So if Adam was like, I have to go back to the water forever, you'll survive down there at a beautiful underwater castle.
No, we won't. No. No. Adam, it's been nice. It's been a lovely 17 and a half years. I hope you find a beautiful mermaid down there. Where's your peen going to go? Where's your peen? I feel like
they have them somewhere. I wonder if they have scales on them. I don't think
I want a scaly peen penetrating my vag. No, I don't want that. I don't. No. All my friends and like normal things. What am I going to eat down there? I'm going to eat seafood? No, I hate seafood. I hate everything about the ocean except the sharks, but I don't want to hang out with them. The ocean terrifies me. You're going to get like orcas are our neighbors. We have Bruce the Great White down here. I'm not okay with any of that. And I don't feel like I'd be able to communicate with any of that. I'd be the loneliest person in the world. Like, this is seriously making me anxious. Oh my God.
All right. So you would have stayed on the dock and watched her swim away.
Yes. And I would have gone out for a nice burger that night. Yes.
A fish burger.
Goodbye. Goodbye, girl.
All right. So what were some of your favorite quotes from the movie?
Well, I mean, I loved the part with Miss Stimler when she was like, they asked her if there are any messages. And she goes, oh, yes, your father called. He wants you to call him back. And then they were like, what he said, our father passed away 5 years ago. Don't you remember? And she goes, oh, yes. Would you like me to get him for you? That is one of my favorites. And I loved, oh my gosh, at the build up. It was more a scene, but it was at the wedding when he was like, oh, Victoria, his girlfriend. Oh, she's really sick. Oh, she has the flu. She left me. It builds and builds and builds. I loved that. And then
that's the news. Do you want the weather?
And then anything with Freddie, like when he pulls up to pick Alan up and he's like, no questions. Is anyone here from Penthouse Magazine? And then the reporter's like, no, he goes, then we ain't talking. I loved that. Anything with Freddie, all of his, I'm going to teach you a lesson in humility. And then he hits the racquetball and it comes out and hits himself. And then when they did
that in one take.
Oh, really?
And he was drunk. He had been out partying the night before, so he was totally hungover, just like his character is in that scene.
So
and he did that in one take.
Oh, and then when Tom Hanks goes, Freddie, you took a date to your own wedding. I'm very liberal. I'm very forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think my favorite was the doctor, not Kornbluth, but the one above him who started running all the tests. And he told Kornbluth, you're basically useless to me. It's like, why don't you go see if you can find me a unicorn?
Oh, that's right. I did love that one.
And who was that guy? I recognized him.
I recognized him too.
And I cannot
remember.
But I feel like it's like an older live action Disney movie that I remember seeing him in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I can't remember what he was in. I do. There was that one other line that Freddie, John Candy says when he's talking to Alan about him being drunk and trying to justify why he's drunk. And he was like, it's not that you had too much to drink. You're just too skinny.
Right.
That it's all about your body weight compared to the amount of alcohol you consumed, which he's not wrong. But I thought that was really funny.
All right. We've gone for I always go way too deep on these movies. Well, I guess I'm not going too deep. We're just having a really long nostalgia trip. It's just
kind of amazing when the movie is splash.
So we'll close out the movie with alternate endings. We're each going to give an alternate ending. So at the actual end, Alan jumps off the deck or dock.
Yes.
Joins up with Madison. The airplane or the helicopter rescue team jump in, trying to get them. They beat them off. They don't beat them off.
Like you do. They beat them all off.
They do away with them. They rip their masks off so that they're struggling and they're able to swim away arm in arm. And they are now mermaid and human who can live under the sea and breathe under the sea. So my alternate ending.
Yes.
They swim off into the ocean.
Yes.
Just like they did.
Yes.
Everything's beautiful. Everything's wonderful. Madison has Alan by the arm. She's swimming. All of a sudden, a shark comes up, eats Alan, leaves only his arm. So she continues swimming with just an arm. And she doesn't realize until it's much too late that her enemy,
Alan, isn't there anymore.
No, Alan's not there anymore. So he lost him forever. He got ate by a shark.
I have the exact same ending.
Okay.
That a shark, but she sees it, that she lets go of his arm to like point out a pretty fish or something. And he automatically, when she lets go, he can't swim anymore and can't breathe or anything. And a shark comes up and gets him. And then she turns around and he's been eaten, but that she kind of has like a Dory type of mind where she just keeps swimming. Or she's just like, okay. And then just keeps going. That was my ending.
Or
yes, obviously a shark has to be there. And he's like,
he's like out in the middle of the bay. Like, what the fuck?
I like that ending more. She gets eaten. Yeah, no, it had to be as soon as you were saying alternate ending. Well, obviously a shark's going to come.
Right. Obviously.
There is no other alternate ending.
We just did a hybrid of Splash and Jaws.
Yes, we did.
All right. Before we can go, we have to do our trivia for the week.
Yes.
Now, so far, you're ahead. It's 4-2.
Yeah.
We're going to see if you can keep your lead.
Oh,
So I have a countdown now as well. We have 10 seconds.
That really bothers me. Go on.
All right. First question. So last week, you had asked me if I remembered what the code was to get extra lives.
Up, down, left. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So do you know the name of the code that required video gamers to press up, down, left, right, BA start? The name of the code. The name
of it? Oh, shit. Mario's number. I don't know. No. What is it?
It was called the Konami code.
Oh, that does sound familiar. Damn it. Okay.
What did you, I'll still give you the point if you can get this part right. What did you have to remember to press if it was a 2-player game? So there was something else along with that code. There was one more button you had to press if it was a 2-player.
Ooh. You had to press select.
Yes. Select when though?
Select start.
Yep. Okay.
So is that right?
Yeah. You had to press select before you press start. See, I shouldn't have done that because then.
No, but you did it. You did it. No givesies backsies.
All right. Ready?
Uh-huh.
The Meryl Streep film Out of Africa takes place in what country in Eastern Africa?
Oh God, it's in Kenya.
Yep.
Oh, the only reason I know that is because on the other podcast we did The Color Purple and Out of Africa beat it.
Right.
It's the only reason. Never saw.
All right. On March 5th, 1982, what former original cast member of Saturday Night Live was found in his bungalow in Los Angeles dead from a mixture of cocaine and heroin?
Oh, hello, John Belushi.
Yes.
Thank you.
I can't stop it. Once it starts, it has to go all the way to 10.
All 10 seconds.
Okay. At the 1984 Summer Olympics, what American matched Jesse Owens by winning gold medals in the 100-meter long jump, 200 meters, and the 4x100 meters?
Carl Lewis?
Yes.
I met him one time.
Where?
It was outside, I think, a bike shop. We were literally driving. I was with our friend Brandon. We were literally driving by and Brandon recognized him, like just driving by on the feeder. It was like off of I-10 between Derry Ashford and Kirkwood. And he like squealed into the parking lot and ran out and was like, "This is Carl Lewis." Because Brandon was a huge runner. So he knew exactly who he was. But yeah, so I accidentally met him there and then met Clyde Drexler in an elevator at a movie theater.
All right, last one. What slang term was used for young urban professionals who often dressed in the preppy style and worked in management?
Come on, man. Yuppies.
Yep. You got 5.
I really did.
We're going to let it count down because I can't stop it once it starts. All right.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm going to go easy. Like the ones I gave you were ridiculously hard.
Well, I'm just picking a card. I picked these.
Well, that's what I did with these others, but I need to get that box that you've got.
Yeah.
Is what I need to do.
Well, they only have 3 on that one, so I had to pick 2 cards, but whatever.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we won't be spinning the wheel this week since my next pick will be a personal pick, but I have a thought.
Yes.
Because I really like spinning the wheel.
I do too.
So I'm wondering if we do, because you know how when the wheel picks, we pick a decade or whatever, 3-year span, and then we just put all those movies in there. I'm wondering if rather than us pick a single movie on those off weeks, if we have a list of 15 movies that we really, really want to watch, and we spin the wheel and pick from those 15.
To watch as an extra one, or
no, to watch
as our personal pick.
So rather than we just pick one, we have 15 where we spin the wheel and that picks from those. So we're still getting one that we really, really want to watch.
Okay. Yeah. I like that.
Okay, so we'll keep because we've already picked our next two.
Yeah.
I really want to watch those. I've already got my notes for the one that I'm picking for next time.
Okay.
So after we do our next two, then we will start.
Then we'll start doing that.
So you'll need to do a list of 15.
Okay.
So next week we're doing what the wheel pick for Aaron last week, which is Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Uh-huh.
And I bought it. Just because,
that is one I'm definitely going to buy.
Yeah. And then the week after that, my personal pick is the 1988 film Mystic Pizza. And as of right now, it's available on HBO Max. So
perfect.
We'll watch that in 2 weeks. So don't forget to join us next week for The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening. Please be sure to tell all of your friends about us, especially any fellow Gen Xers.
And don't forget to follow us on social media and your favorite podcast app. And be sure you're set to auto download so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, leave us a 5-star rating.
Don't forget to visit backwherewebelong.com to gain access to our ultimate playlists, pick up some merch, and do a deeper dive into all of our episodes. Thanks again.
We'll see you next week.